With Gina out for reduction surgery, he'll have to make up for it with his big wits. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice to get on mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Adam and Dax are sitting in the whole show. They'll be doing the news later on. Good day to you guys.
Good day to you.
And Bald Brian.
Oh, yeah. We're supposed to try.
Hollywood Raw podcast is the name of the podcast these guys do. Dax, you remember from TMZ all those years. Adam, were you at TMZ
I
as
was,
well?
yeah. But I was based in New York. I was running around the street with my camera in New York City.
That's right.
Yeah.
The early years of TMZ. So Dax was a fixture in studio for, seemed
12
like
years.
12 years.
12 years, yeah.
That is a long run.
This was before it even became TMZ. That's how long I was there. But when it was like just a concept, a website that Harvey had like thought of, and they were trying to figure out a name for it, and then it all just kind of ballooned really fast.
I like Harvey. I've spoken to him off the air a few times. Seems like a genuine soul to me, but I don't know. You may have different thoughts.
No, I just saw him the other day. We have a really good relationship. No, he helped me launch my career. I've got no hard feelings. I mean, I would say he is a hard worker, and sometimes it's hard to be at that level with someone that is such a hard worker, but he literally taught me everything. And
explain your Harvey thing.
yeah, let's hear it.
No,
Well, say the name twice.
Well, I think there's so I said it twice.
No, explain how one would say it if they just said the name.
When you're interviewing an actor and you're like, what's it like to work with, I don't know, give me a name, Brian.
Oh, Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
Okay,
They'll go, oh, that guy, Keanu's great, man. I love that dude. I just texted him, and then they go,
what about Henry Winkler?
Henry, salt of the earth, man. I can't. I love that fucking guy.
Hey, what about Paul Giamatti?
You know, Paul's Paul. Paul does what, he does what Paul does.
So did I just give you a Harvey's Harvey? Is that what you're saying?
If you say the first name twice, that's code for actor not wanting to call the guy an asshole, but that's the code if you hear the name twice. Or if anyone ever says it about you. Mm-hmm. Dax, he's Dax. He's going to do what Dax is going to do.
Dax going Dax.
Yeah.
No, Harvey's, that's the thing. I always try to think of like, he is the hardest worker known to man. He works harder than anyone else in Hollywood. So it's just hard to work at that level. But he gave me my start, and I'm here because of Harvey Levin.
Well, I think with Harvey, and I've experienced this a little myself, which is you get his very old school work ethic. He knows what he's done and what it takes and how he started and all that kind of shit. And then he sees the 22-year-old who he feels like this is the greatest opportunity ever because I wish someone had given me this when I was 22. Yeah. By the time I was 30, I'd be running this place. And then the 22-year-old doesn't want to come in on a Friday because they're taking a me day. And then he can't understand that, right? Does that seem like kind of where the disconnect?
No, 100%. And I think that I even started out the company like that. Like, oh, look, I'm fresh-faced. I think I was like 21 or maybe even less when I like started into the company. And you're just like, oh, it's all given to me. I'm on TV. This is amazing. And he's looking at you like, the hell, dude? I've worked so hard for you to be on TV. And it took me years later to realize, like, when I started running my own company, there is a lot behind that. And I didn't appreciate it when I was younger.
Well, when it very first started, we were working with Teresa Strasser.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
TMZ stood for Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa was
Zero.
over there.
Yeah, and she was sort of tapped to go in there, sort of an anchor in a more traditional.
Well, that started very different. We had, like, anchors.
Yeah, yeah.
She kept saying it would be like a Daily Show corresponding kind of thing.
And Ben Mankiewicz, who became like the big like Siskel and Ebert kind of
guy,
yeah, was also one of them.
And so it started sort of traditionally, and then ended up in this sort of open forum, and which is very pleasing. I enjoy the show quite a bit, but a sort of why don't we film our breaks? Not our breaks, but our pitch sessions. Might that, it's like when I worked for Jimmy Kimmel in the writer's room, we all sat in the writer's room and then we tried to figure out jokes and stories and make each other laugh. And then at some point it got put into a teleprompter and Jimmy did it up on stage. But this is like somebody saying, But wouldn't it be funny if we just filmed this part of it? Like
Yeah.
maybe we don't need that
That's
part
a
of
show.
it. Yeah.
And that's legit what it was. We had those pitch meetings before we had cameras, and it was always like that. Just coming up with whatever we thought was interesting the day before, and then someone kind of caught on to this is the show, not the rest of it. This separates us from the Access Hollywoods and ETs and all of that, and it really caught on.
And also costs nothing to make.
Yes.
That's the most
Economically
important part.
viable.
Yeah. Right.
It's a cheap show. So you can film 2 of those, like if they do TMZ Live, I mean, that essentially costs nothing to make, which is the profit margins are amazing for it.
So you guys then broke off, and now you're doing your own thing. And how would you describe that if TMZ is one thing and Access Hollywood's another?
So, that's a good question. But I would say, we broke off. We both left at different times. We actually weren't even really close when we worked at TMZ together. He was in New York. We just weren't really friends. And then afterwards, we were like, hey, let's do this podcast together. So it's Hollywood Raw, and it's all just about kind of pulling back that curtain on Hollywood. We talk about the relationships between celebrities and paparazzi and how it's a give and take relationship. A lot of these celebs don't like to acknowledge that they have relationships with celebrities and that they call the paps, and that benefits them. Everyone likes to kind of trash them publicly, but behind the scenes, it's a whole different ballgame. And so we kind of dive into that. We interview a lot of celebs, but we interview bodyguards. We interview kind of everyone to get both sides of celebrity as a whole.
And where are we at with it? If it was I always think about the heavyweight division of boxing, and there was the great days with Muhammad Ali and George Foreman and Joe Frazier and all that. And then in the 80s, it kind of flattened out a little, and then Tyson showed up and reinvigorated it. Where are we with gossip and celebrities? I mean, everyone's all over the Amber Heard trial, right? So there is a desire for it, but are we saturated? Do people give a shit about celebrities anymore? Do they give a shit about celebrities but say they don't give a shit about celebrities anymore because that's now fashionable?
I don't know. I think we're like in this in-between thing. Right now, blind items just became really popular. There's sites like Dumois. Have you heard of Dumois?
No.
So Dumois is like this Instagram account that has blind items that come out all the time. So people have really got into it. And I remember like 10 years ago with Nick Ritchie. Do you remember Nick Ritchie at all?
No.
TheDirty.com?
TheDirty.com.
Oh, I look at Bring a Trailer from cars like all day, and the occasional porn website.
Well, a blind item is basically I'm going to tell you the gossip about the person without their name and let you guess who the gossip is about.
But then the other question is who is a celebrity right now? Last night, the Met Gala was there. And from the people I know, the photographers who covered the Met Gala, last night's Met Gala was very uneventful. The celebrity, there was no celebrity royalty there. There wasn't the J-Lo there. There wasn't the Angelina Jolie there. Who was there was, someone who was on Gossip Girl or someone who's on this last season of
Big
Euphoria.
TikTok star.
Social media stars. So I think we're trying to figure out who's the new age of celebrities, and is it ever going to be huge stars again? Like I still run around the streets doing celebrity interviews. That's my day to day. I run around doing celebrity videos, and I try to license them to different media outlets around the world. When I get a video of, let's just say, Mark Wahlberg, no one really cares that much. Like the interest is not there. However, I get a video of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or if I get a video of some TikTok star, that's the video surprisingly, insanely is the most successful for me.
Right. So basically, Elon Musk is the biggest celebrity we have in Hollywood and beyond.
I'd say so.
That's
I'd
kind
say
of the
most people care about what he's doing day to day.
new world order versus what it was several years ago.
Interesting. It's a bit of a throwback to the days of like William Randolph Hearst and Rockefeller. And
Howard Hughes.
Yeah, the Howard Hughes is the ultimate example of like the Elon Musk of their day. You know what I mean? That went away for maybe a couple of decades.
Howard Hughes basically was Elon Musk, and before
Kind of
he
true.
was and
Extravagant, over the top.
Dating, Hollywood,
yeah, I mean,
whatever,
Howard Hughes was a sort of analog version of the digital Elon Musk. He was building things that were mechanical, airplanes and spruce gooses, and started with the
Hercules,
satellites and even the Hughes Corporation, a big satellite dish and all that kind of stuff, and dating the starlets and eccentric and doing his own thing and saying his own thing, but obviously pre-Twitter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the stars are oversaturated at this point. Like we see between Twitter and Instagram and all the shows and all the websites, you kind of get bored with a lot of the celebs. Like, how many times can we talk about Kim Kardashian on a daily basis before people are just over it? So I think with Elon, you only get so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, he puts on Twitter, but you don't see him out. And when he gives it up, that's when people go crazy for it.
I did a video the other day, Sunday. I was in New York because I'm based in New York City. It's Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos just walking out of a store in Soho, and he walks out with his girlfriend. Security's there, and he just walks. It's maybe 25 seconds. The video blew up. It got on TikTok. I mean, just got millions and millions of views. He didn't talk to me. I tried. I mean, I asked him a softball question. Unfortunately, he's not going to talk to me. If I knew he wasn't going to talk to me, I would have messed with him probably a little bit more. But he came out, and he just looks jacked. And people want to see, like, hey, here's the richest man in the world. What does he do? Oh, he shops in Soho just like us.
Elon would say second richest man in the world.
You know,
Yes. I mean, go back and forth. Yeah.
the ultimate softball question would be a question about softball, if you think about it. What do you think? I like to play when I can.
You like the high arc, or you like the more line
I'm an
drive
unlimited.
stuff?
I used to play the fast underhand pitch, but now I go unlimited arc.
Now, if you overrun second base, is that okay? You're trying to avoid injury, or can you be tagged out?
No, if your foot's not on the base before the ball gets there. So, do we have the video?
question.
It's not the best video, but
Well, there's no celebrity that would ever there's no publicist that's ever warned their client not to talk about the game of softball. Unless you rape someone on the diamond or
that's-
something, but that's probably
the fact.
pretty rare. Probably less than 20% of celebrities have been involved with that kind of scandal. This is, Bezos.
Mr. Bezos, how you doing? Mr. Bezos, what's your favorite book ever? You could recommend one book. What would you suggest someone read? Have a good day, sir.
Nothing. Doesn't even look at you. Pulled the full Paris Hilton fake phone call on you right there.
I know. He's got an earbud. Come on. Well, is it better to have zero comment versus nothing burger? You know what I mean?
that's what I'm saying.
Like
Don't
he
say
just
anything.
walked by and went, Charlotte's Web.
40 Shades of Grey.
got into the SUV and left. I think this is better.
Listen, my question, I was trying to bait him essentially into asking a softball question. Here's something where if he answers, it could potentially help people. It's nothing, hey, where's my Amazon package? Some stupid question. It's to get him to open up just a little bit. If I knew he was not going to talk to me, I would have asked him something probably just more fun, or just kind of asked him what kind of HGH he's on. But that's a legend. But he does look ripped.
Who's giving you a hard time, and like, do you show up at the airport? And then who's giving you, or the most colorful?
So here's what I would
Who
say.
plays ball? Yeah.
90% of the people are very cool. 5% aren't into it, which I respect. The other 5% are assholes. So let's start with cool. The bigger the celebrity, the cooler they are. Oprah, awesome. Shaquille O'Neal, awesome.
Literally bigger they are.
Yeah, well, yeah. Brad Pitt, great guy. Like Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, nice guy. And then you start to get into different things where you get like Julia Stiles, something like that. Like it's just like, really,
It's a
like
random poll.
Yeah, like really, you're gonna be the rough one. Like okay. Then you have like a Snooki. Like really, you're gonna be the difficult. Like okay. Like but yet again, I'm here because your team called me.
Oh,
So,
really? So
I mean, that happens all the time.
yeah, Brad Pitt's team doesn't call you.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so naive.
So speaking of which, this is actually great. We have an opportunity to ask someone who knows, because we've long speculated on the show. How do they know when the celebrity's coming off the plane? Adam says, they get the flight manifest. I thought maybe, someone at the gate agent's like, hey, here for $50. I'll
So
tell
it's
you.
both, yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes, sometimes if you fly private, it's public information. So if I know,
Oh, really?
Elon Musk had this problem recently, where someone on Twitter was saying where he's flying, say, hey, Elon's flying here. He's like, he knew his plane number, so he could track the plane to where it's going, to what time it lands. So if you know the person's plane, if they fly private, you could track their plane. I mean, I don't want to give too many secrets because I don't promote this, but I don't really do this stuff, to be honest with you. This is just, but I know this happens.
Done.
So you could track when they fly private. When it comes to a lot of the airport stuff, there is tipsters in the airlines who will let you know, like, hey, this person just came in, or this person has a booked flight.
Or if they're leaving New York and coming to LA, it's real easy to be like,
Plenty of
they're
time.
on that flight, be on the other side when they land.
Exactly. And then other times where, there's fans, and the fans, what they'll do is they will call the airlines, and it's crazy. They just try to get that one person that's good on the phone and say, hey, my name is Vanessa
Leonardo
Hudgens.
DiCaprio,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, Vanessa Hudgens. Let's just say, for example, oh yeah, what's your address? Blah blah blah. Okay, can you tell me my flight for tomorrow? And then they get their freaking flyer number, and then if they get their freaking flyer number, they just keep punching in their freaking flyer number to see they could track their flights.
I didn't even know this, guy.
Wow.
I'm learning right
And then
now.
the other part is they'll let you know when they're landing and stuff like that.
I'm basing it loosely on the handful of times I've flown into some city and there's been a guy waiting for me, but the guy waiting for me is not a TMZ guy. He's a fat guy in cargo shorts with a pile of
Autograph
pictures.
hound.
He doesn't even want my autograph.
Oh,
He wants
really?
my autograph on a still from Family Guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have all the pictures of all the different shows, and they just want you to sign it, and then they're going to put it up on eBay. And I always sign it because I'm like, all right, that's that guy's business. It seems kind of pathetic to me, but he knows I'm landing in St. Louis, and he's waiting there with all those.
Well, I think there's an element too that we also kind of reveal on our podcast is like there's a lot of people that work for the celeb. So maybe the celeb themselves isn't calling to say, hey,
Sure.
I'm going to be here. But there's stylists that dress them and want their outfit photographed to put in magazines. So you see Megan Fox walking down the street and you're like, damn, she looks good. Well, she looks good because her stylist dressed her up and now someone's tipped her off to what they're going to be walking and looking like. And the article also says every label of the clothing when you're like, did you read the tag or did someone tip you off to that?
Right. You
So
couldn't have
there's-
seen the tag.
Exactly. And then there's managers, agents, there's so much involved in keeping these celebs relevant when they're not working on a project.
So there's a lot of pre-calls to you guys to try to keep them relevant.
Yeah.
and
I'm
then-
not mad. I enjoy it. Like, listen, I get it. I think I welcome it. It's part of the game. I mean, we don't work together, but we work together.
It's symbiotic.
Yeah.
So then the big question Brian and I always discuss, which is like the Kardashian porn tape.
Oh, yeah.
Does she put it out? Does it get leaked? Does it get
Listen,
leaked and
that
then she
stuff
profits?
That doesn't see the light of day if someone doesn't sign off on it. At the end of the day, it won't see the light if she doesn't sign off.
Now, what about like Pam and Tommy Lee? Was that just a different time?
And I want to say that one on a website like
That was a
for
different
sale.
time.
That was a different time,
That was
yeah.
what, 97 around?
like Paris,
roughly?
Kim. Those
Yeah.
were up on websites being sold as DVDs or whatever. So a
So
signature was required.
Ray J owns it, or he films it and he owns it, but Kim's got to sign before it
It's her
gets into the
likeness.
mainstream.
It's her likeness. With a project, when people are making money on it, you have to sign off on the project, right? You,
Yeah.
as yourself, are a brand. Someone can't just profit off of your brand, your name, your likeness.
Well, I guess somebody can take it, throw it up, and then you can get a cease and desist or something like that, right? And then get it taken down, but then people can bootleg it.
That made a lot of money for the people involved.
Certain parties.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people may have even been kind of, I want to say, extorted into it, but they're like, it's going to come out. Do you want to make money off of it or not make money off of it? So I think there's that element as well, that they're almost forced into signing stuff.
There was some scuttlebutt about a part 2 that might be coming out
Yeah.
that was in the news sort of coincidentally.
Oh, and their show happens to be launching
Right.
on Hulu.
Yeah.
Are we
Right.
not past these bald face? I'm going to call them lies, but there's just okay, there's a movie coming out starring 2 hot people, and they're in a relationship. Well, pictures of them on a date. Are we past that now, or are people still eating that up?
I think people like it.
Why?
It's a
Light it up.
game.
Where's my fork? Yeah. I don't know.
So this is a crazy story. So this guy, I can't say the celebrity's name, but this guy was
Why not?
dating this celebrity before she got famous. And he was dating her, and he just so happened to realize years later after she got famous that he had a video of her doing some stuff to herself that was pretty wild, and involved her anus. And so no, it was
Dating Judi Dench.
it was a wild video. it was a crazy video. So the guy approaches all the outlets and goes, "Hey man, I got this video. I want to sell it." All the outlets are like, "Listen, we appreciate you reaching out to us, but we can't put out the video because we'll get sued." But however, the news story is, hey, there's a video out there for sale, and that they're like, hey, fuck you, we're gonna run with this story. We're just gonna, but we can't do anything to the video. What happened was the celebrity was dating a guy, sent a private investigator to the guy's house, and said, listen, here's a lot of money. where's the video? End it now. Blah blah blah. Just shut up. And basically like strong arm this guy and to be like, nothing happened. And I mean, I saw the video, but you saw so much things that will never come to light. I mean,
there's a lot of content you just can't put out at the end of the day. You know, I've seen photos of celebs having sex on balconies, but you can't put that out. You know, there's got to be lines, and TMZ definitely had some really hard lines of what they would publish and what they wouldn't. And, you know, as much as people want to give Harvey a hard time, he does have his limits that he will not cross those bounds.
Well, also, like, you would always hear about the Inquirer, and you'd go, oh, that gossip rag. But they never really get sued successfully, or maybe occasionally. But what I mean is like they vet their stuff. Like, they're not in the business of being put out of business with a lawsuit, right? I mean,
I think they've also come up with some really crazy headlines that people will be like, well, you didn't really believe that, did you? So I think they can follow into that. But they've also had a lot of huge stories that I never thought could possibly be true and that were real that went to the Inquirer.
Where are you guys at with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing? How do you think that's going to play out?
I mean, it's been interesting to watch. I mean, it's the biggest soap opera on television right now, and I don't understand why he signed up to do this, because it has aired out so much dirty laundry between the two of them. I'm surprised. I think he got to the point he goes, she's already ruined my career, and I'm going to take her down with me, is really what I picture him saying at the end of the day.
It also kind of fucks up his narrative when he begins dating again or gets a new girl, because we all start with that, I like long walks on the beach and just drinking cocoa on Sunday mornings.
I like long walks on the beach and chicks that don't poop in the bed.
Yeah. I mean, you do get a little peek behind the curtain of what it'd be like to cohabitate with this dude. Is he married? Is he dating? Is he doing something now? And that would be the worst ever for that person, right? Because he's like, I got to go air my dirty laundry in front of 50 million people for the next 7 weeks. It's got to suck for the current. I don't know. Are each of them in current relationships?
I don't think so. I know, he's been, so the court case is going on in Virginia, and the hotel he's staying at, nobody knows where she's staying, which is sort of weird. He's staying at this one hotel. He's been going out at night, like he goes to dinner, and it's funny because you don't see any video or footage of him like going out to dinner, hanging out. The funniest part for me for this whole story is like, this is a public case, so the people in attendance are all like psycho Johnny Depp fans, like dressing up as Captain Sparrow in the crowd. They're getting there at 4 a.m,
bringing alpacas because alpacas make him happy. Like someone had an alpaca outside the courtausse.
Really?
I'm like, he's not going to see the alpaca, but I mean, the legit fans there to support him.
I want all these people arrested. And I had it there. So my theory was always like, if you have enough time in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day, to go down to the Virginia courthouse with an alpaca, I bet you're on disability, but you're able-bodied, and you can get a fucking job and pay some taxes. And I don't know what you guys think of this, but I don't mind the marches, that are slated for Sunday, and that's the Million Woman March, or it's the Black Lives Matters March. But as it pertains to this Roe versus Wade thing, it hit last night, and this morning there were a whole bunch of people down at the Supreme Court. I want them all arrested. How can you do this on such short notice? What the fuck is going on? You find out at 8:30 at night on a Monday, and a Tuesday you're there? Where are your kids? What's going on? What about your gig?
I freaking know their kids.
I think they're fucking, I think these are deadbeats. Look, if you want to plan the rally for the upcoming Sunday, knock yourself out. If you find out on a Monday night at 6 p.m. and at 8 a.m. the next day you're there, and that's your entire day, then you owe the government money. There's something going on. You're not paying taxes. I'll bet you're on some form of unemployment, disability. Get a fucking gig. Plan the gig for the weekend, but not the next day. That's my take.
I agree with you.
And I have another controversial take.
Here we go.
A lot going on at the border these days, and a lot of folks crossing the border.
You guys hear about this?
You guys hear about this?
I haven't. No, I'm waiting.
A lot of border stuff going on these days. I think, like when I leave the Staples Center, I see all the Mexican chicks selling hot dogs there.
Yeah.
I think a white guy needs to go down to the border and sell tacos. Now, I know we'd be upset. They'd be upset, but isn't turnabout fair play? Like, you guys are leaving. This is your food. I'm representing this culture. Why not?
Dude, there's clearly a
That's all.
market. Those people are starving.
You just walked across the
Yes.
Rio Grande. You didn't work up an appetite?
You held your baby aloft
over your head.
Some guy just cutting up fruit for everyone. Yeah, that'd be
The
great.
fruit cart might be tough because it's so hot. Tacos?
Yeah.
I bet that'll last all day.
Fruit cart. I do love that the average Los Angelino won't go into a restaurant with a C rating on the window, but will happily eat fruit off a cart in a park that's somebody without gloves and just raw dog and a pineapple and a rusty machete. Hey, I'll get the kid one too.
You described my wife the entirety of our dating. Yeah. It was the ghetto dogs after the USC game.
Right.
I'm not going in there. It's a B.
You know what I think it is? I think walking into the restaurant that has the B and you're going, I don't know, I'm not going into that place. You do that when you're sober on the way in.
Oh, 100%.
When you leave the Lakers game, you're buzzed off your ass.
And you smell bacon.
And you smell the bacon and the dog and you go, fuck it.
You go for it.
You'd be
This is the
standing
time
there.
to risk my life.
It could
I'm
slip
drunk.
out of the bun and roll on the concrete. You go, just kick it over this
Put
way.
it back on the griddle for 30 seconds.
No, it's actually spice. No, pavement makes it better.
All right. Well, let's see. You guys want to hang out, of course. We got to talk to Tripp Mickle, who's an author, who's got a book coming out. And it's after Steve. It's the app, how Apple became the $1 trillion company. I have lots of questions about Steve Jobs. And also, there's this whole new Apple story out there where their employees don't want to go back to work. I don't know if you guys heard anything about this. But,
I haven't heard that specifically, but that is amongst big companies. That's very, very, very common and getting more common every day. Like the CEOs obviously want them to come back to they're paying the rent, whatever, and the office workers are like, oh no, we'll be home 4 days a week.
Yeah, they're trying to get them back 1 to 3 days a week, and they're like, that's racist shit. We're not doing it. All right, so we'll get into that. First, I'll tell you about DR Power Equipment. Attention, weekend warriors. Tackle all your property care projects with DR Power Equipment. Go drpower.com. Your one-stop shop for brush mowers, chippers, shredders, leaf and lawn vacs, wood splitters, rototillers, and much, much more. And you can check out DR Power's full line of professional-grade gas-powered equipment, plus the latest lithium-ion battery-powered tools as well. Clear a field of overgrown brush, including 4-foot-high field grass and saplings up to 3 inches thick, or you can trim, mow, and edge your suburban lot like a pro. All DR equipment is on sale right now. So get over to godrpower.com and you stock up for your outdoor season. DR, professional power done right. It is DR Power Equipment, and the battery stuff really works now. They got the technology figured out. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Tripp Mickle, author, journalist, right after this.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
I am the Golden God.
If you said almost famous,
I am a golden god.
You're correct. Now, back to the show.
All right, we got Tripp Mickle. He's a writer. He's a journalist. He's got a book out about Apple, and it's called After Steve, How Apple Became a $1 trillion company and Lost Its Soul. It's available now on Amazon and wherever you find finer books. It's the untold story inside of Apple after the passing of Steve Jobs. Good to see you, Tripp.
Great to see you, too. Thanks for having me.
So I don't know a ton about Steve Jobs, but I do know that he was a Porsche fan, and I do...
Don't bury the lead, man.
I do own the one car that Apple sponsored in 1980, I believe, for a race season. So I don't know if that's chronicled in your book, but that's the only thing I know.
I didn't cover their race history, but I'm not surprised to hear you bring that up. I heard your segment on Laguna Seca not too long ago and really enjoyed that.
So what do we need to know about Tim Cook? And whenever I see Tim Cook, it's kind of weird. There's only a handful of guys who I think look like lesbians. And Tim Cook is right up there with Dick Vermeil. They just look like lesbian. I have no idea what their proclivities are. I just see Tim Cook and I think lesbian.
Well, the book is really a character study of Tim Cook and Johnny Ive, who were the two lieutenants that Steve Jobs had deputized to basically lead on the company after his death. And if you really get back and you think about Apple, like going back further than that, they nearly went bankrupt when Jobs returned, and these are the two men that really revived the company that Steve Jobs leaned on to, in the case of Johnny Ive, to make those candy colored computers that were such a rage in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then in the case of Tim Cook, he built out this supply chain in China. It's really why almost everything we have is made in China at this point, because Tim Cook was so skilled at efficiently manufacturing things there.
How smooth was the transition at the time? I mean, we're obviously unaware of it, but on the inside, was there some sort of problems, or was it relatively smooth?
Oh, it was rocky. It was bumpy. I think one of the things that was really interesting as I dove into reporting on this book, and the thing that we don't think about a lot is like grief inside the company, right? Like, we all lose somebody, but to them, like working with Steve Jobs was what got them up in the morning. I mean, this guy was brilliant and exhilarating and exciting to be around. And then he's gone one day, and they, for a lot of people there, they lost their reason for going into Apple, and they had to figure out like how to overcome that and honor Steve Jobs' legacy by making sure that Apple didn't go kaput right after his death.
You say in the title that the company lost its soul. What do you mean by that?
It's a reference to, on a literal level, to Johnny Ive. Steve Jobs considered him his creative partner, his creative soulmate, if you will. And Johnny Ive ultimately left the company in 2019. So he literally, the soul walked out of the building in some ways. But on a metaphorical level, like part of the reason that Johnny left was Apple was usually under Steve Jobs a place where art led to commerce. And increasingly under Tim Cook, it became a place where commerce dictated art. And by that, I mean, all of a sudden, when Jobs was there, Johnny Ive could make decisions like, let's put a handle on this computer, even though we don't expect anybody to pick it up, because we want people to think that the computer is like something you can touch. And Jobs didn't bat an eye at this kind of insane cost. But under Tim Cook, increasingly they were saying like, well, is it worth spending the money on a feature like that?
Did you hear about the hubbub about the Apple employees story, which came out a few days back?
Yeah. I followed the letter and have been keeping an eye on that. As you all were saying, it's like, who really wants to go back to work anyway, unless you really like your colleagues in the water cooler.
No, I agree. Like, nobody wants to go back to work, but there's a lot of plumbers and roofers and folks who work at restaurants and folks who stock shelves at the Trader Joe's who just go back to work because they're getting paid, and that's what the fuck you're supposed to do when you get paid.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I also get that I don't know if all the dust is settled on productivity. People talk about being really productive, but I don't remember taking 18 minutes off to beat off when I was at work. I do have to carve that out of my homework day. So I don't know, but also just the fact that you build this crazy campus, like you have built
that's a sunk cost,
a cathedral to your profession, and people don't physically want to enter it.
But that's also the sunk cost fallacy, though, because yes, if you're a roofer or a plumber or you stock the shelves at Trader Joe's, you need to be there to do the job. However, my wife, who actually used to work for Media Arts Lab, Tripp will know what that is. Her company did like an internal survey of like the last 2 years, and they're workers are much more productive at home than they are in the office. There's so many distractions in the office. Ironically, you'd think it'd be home, but it's actually the office that distracts.
It's funny you mentioned this about Apple, Adam, because like in a weird way, they're kind of both of those things. You have software engineers who can literally work anywhere. They can be in their car, they could be on a boat, they can type code from anywhere in the world. And then you have people who are building hardware, and there's a lot of machinery and equipment on campus that they need to go in for. And so in a weird way, the company itself is kind of divided on this. A lot of the people who raise those concerns are the kind of people that really don't have to be there. They're either in marketing or operations or software, and they can work from anywhere.
I would argue that big picture, as enticing as it sounds to stay home and work, I would argue big picture it's probably not going to be good for a normal human being. Like there's a routine part of life.
The social interaction part is real. Like you got to be around people.
It's also the part where you're putting your jeans on and they're a little bit tight and you think, well, I shouldn't have that donut for breakfast. But if you're working in your bathrobe, there's a social part, but there's also just a sort of routine part that kind of keeps you in a sanity lane. And I don't know if, some people thrive, but others will do some day drinking. Chris, do you have that article, by the way?
I do. So this is in response to Apple planning to ease workers back into the office by the end of May with a flexible 3-day-a-week work schedule. And so the employees responded with this letter. Apple will likely always find people willing to work here, but our current policies requiring everyone to relocate to the office their team happens to be based in, and being in the office at least 3 fixed days of the week will change the makeup of our workforce.
I like the concept of you thinking that going to work is you relocating to the place you work. When I worked at McDonald's when I was 16, I never thought, why do I have to relocate to this grill?
It will make Apple younger, whiter, more male-dominated, more neuronormative, more able-bodied. In short, it will lead to privileges deciding who can work for Apple, not who'd be the best fit.
I love that there's a
This
fucking
sounds so millennial, right?
There's
That
a
is
racial
insane.
component to everything. It's neuronormal or something.
Neuronormative.
Is it like mental illness or people who are depressed?
So, like, if people think they're Napoleon, they're going to be excluded.
Seems so weird. You're just asking people to work. Like,
3 days
this
a
was
week.
not a conversation before COVID. Like, show up. That's it.
3 days a week. Take that, France. Oh, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
All right. Privileges like being born in the right place so you don't have to relocate, or being young enough to start a new life in a new city or country, or having a stay-at-home spouse who will move with you, and privileges like being born into a gender that society doesn't expect the majority of care work from, so it's easy to disappear into an office all day without doing your fair share of unpaid work in society, or being rich enough to pay others to do your care work for you. Instead of throwing money at the problem and just increasing referral bonuses to replace those of our colleagues who left over the executive team's inflexibility, how about we create a work environment where everyone who wants to work at Apple is able to do so?
Well, who wants to work but that's the whole thing. He said at Apple means who wants to work at Apple, not for Apple. That's in your own charter. At Apple, dickweed. That means show the fuck up to Apple. And by the way, I'll bet you I've toured Pixar, and that's an insane campus. I will bet you that there is one foosball table for every 26 employees at Apple. That's not a bad place to go in a fucking buffet.
I gotta imagine like Apple's got one of the best, like a Google. They provide you food probably. I'm assuming.
I've been to SpaceX.
No, they don't have a cafeteria with free food.
This isn't a land of the spoiled, quite like Google. I mean, Jobs actually always required everybody to pay for their meals on campus. In fact,
never mind, you lost me. I'm staying home.
He thought it was hilarious because he was getting paid a $1 salary, and so he loved to buy his own meal and buy a meal for employees because it was pulled right out of his paycheck. And he would look at people and be like, I have no idea who's paying for this, even though he kind of ran the company and he was only making $1 at the time. So he thought that was kind of a hoot.
Why did he give
Carolla does the same thing.
himself $1? Yeah. Who wants El Pollo Loco? Did he do that? I mean, obviously it's symbolic. It's like when the president or Trump goes, I'm going to be president, I'm not going to take the paycheck,
Well,
or
so
some version of
I
that.
imagine as owner of the company, he had so many shares, he just paid him almost in perpetuity.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It was primarily because he received this lavish share grant at the time of his return, and he didn't want to draw controversy and make his return about whether or not he was getting a salary versus whether or not he was there to really kind of revive Apple at the time.
I would argue, though, if I was that person and I wanted to make the symbolic gesture so as not to cause any controversy, because he's getting, $27.2 million as a salary, and the guy in China is getting $14 a day. I wouldn't do $1 a day. That screams rich guy who's getting all kinds of stock tips and perks. I'd go like, I make $61,288 a year.
Plus benefits.
Plus benefits. What do you make? I make $71,000. All right, so you buy the meal then. Yeah, he probably should have gotten more specific.
Tripp, I want to know, what do you think, where would Apple be today if Steve Jobs was still alive?
Where would they be?
Yeah, as a company, because I look at them and I already think they're successful. Would they be a whole nother level if Steve was still here?
It's funny, you talk to people who worked with him and worked closely, and some of them think they'd be doing worse off, financially speaking, right? If you look at Wall Street and kind of the New York Stock Exchange scoreboard, that they would be doing worse by that standard, that he would have bet the house on some product that either didn't pan out or, was more popular than anything else that's ever been created. And by the way, the most popular product ever created was the iPhone. So if you lean into that school of thought, they wouldn't be a $2.5 trillion company like they are today. That's really the master stroke that Tim Cook brought to the company, was the focus and discipline to kind of mine the iPhone for all it's been worth.
Is there a product that we're unaware of that's going to be the next iPhone? I know they come out with a tablet or an Apple Watch or something.
It's all versions of an iPhone.
Like that. But then we kind of go, the tablet maybe didn't really catch on because we had our phone and our computer or something. But is there something out there that you're aware of that we're going to find out in the next several years?
The most anticipated thing that they're working on is around the car, which they've been working on this car since circa 2015, right? And they were supposed to release it in 2019, and they're still working on it. And they've had a lot of churn in the top ranks. And at this point, it's being forecast for around 2025. If they get there and they do it, it could be really fascinating. One of the more interesting things I learned in reporting on the book was that they changed fundamentally the construction industry and architecture when they built that giant $5 billion headquarters in Cupertino. They wanted this curved glass that had never been made before, and they had to get somebody to manufacture that. And the glass industry had never done that. They bankrolled it. They brought their engineering talent and their designers in to make sure it was made to spec. And if you talk to architects, they'll look at you and say, well, we can design buildings in different ways than we ever were able to do before. You spin that forward and say, well, what could they do for a car? I don't know, but it's pretty fascinating that this company that makes the phone that you carry around in your pocket changed architecture. So you can only imagine what they could do in the auto landscape.
One of the most enduring legacies of Apple is going to end up being, of course, the iPhone, is going to be forever, or at least, a hallmark of this era. Podcasts made for the iPod, which, by the way, I don't know how many years it's been since it was been produced. It is obsolete technology. It's not even produced anymore. It's just we still call this shit podcasting. Mm-hmm. It's baked into the name, even though it has nothing to do with the product.
Yeah.
Observation.
It's true.
Right.
I mean, I think there's lots of that kind of stuff. I don't know, cockpit in an airplane or something, although we changed it to flight deck because we didn't cock. Same sentence. But yeah, that it's interesting that instead of a sort of technological standpoint, you're talking about a sort of architectural standpoint, like what could Apple bring? Like going, I don't know, way back, Kaiser, the big company that makes hospitals and does other, they were originally a shipbuilding company, and they made troop transports, and they made the Kaiser Liberty ships in World War II that brought all the troops over to Europe, and that's what Kaiser did. But when you have 10,000 employees, you have to have a hospital because these guys are welding and putting in big slabs of steel and going to war and all that kind of stuff. But you have, 25,000 employees building a Liberty ship, and there's plenty of tetanus floating around. And so they build a hospital, and the next thing you know, Kaiser's Kaiser Permanente, and that's all we remember of them. And maybe 200 years from now, Apple will be the people that invented or did something innovative in the modular home business, or everyone's living in an Apple modular building or some version of that, which I guess benefits us all and is good.
Right. And that's kind of the way they have to be thinking at this point, because they make so much money from the iPhone, and their business has gotten so big that they have to look at these giant industries that they've not penetrated. So they've looked at healthcare, they've looked at auto, they've looked at energy. I mean, these are all areas that they've explored because they've saturated the electronics industry and make most of the profits from that business already.
What is their market share for like phones, electronics, computers, things of that nature?
It's like 50% in the US, but at the same time, it's like 85-90% of profit.
Wow.
So there's a huge imbalance between like the share of the phones that they have in the world and like how much profit they.
Their stuff's overpriced.
Yeah,
it makes sense that I hope. Can somebody come up? And I know Tesla has the kind of a power wall thing, but wouldn't it be nice if everyone had a sort of home power, at least collector generator power wall made by Apple that you could pull your Tesla or Apple car up to and charge and run your home and not deal with the rolling blackouts and the outages and the price and everything else. I mean, they got to be knocking on the door of something like that. Have you heard any scuttlebutt about that, Tripp?
Nothing along those lines, but the whole rolling outages just sounds like such a California phenomenon. I'm sure for other people, they're like, wait, you have those, So,
yes, in 2022. It's nice. It's like we have, we're looking for like an all-electric municipal car fleet, and we have rolling outages. It's like
we're stuck.
We have the Apple iPhone 13, and we have human trafficking. It's like there's a lot of old and new that we have in our society. So I'm curious. Yes, I'm curious about. Well, I have one. I'm very curious about this car. Like, I'm very curious about what they bring to this and what the price point is and how they. And it probably interacts, I'm sure, with every Apple, whatever.
But my CarPlay will stop working every half an hour, just like it does now.
Right.
The battery dies after 2 years. You have to get a new one, upgrade.
There's got to be something. They can't just go, here's our version of a Tesla, right? Or a Chevy Volt or Bolt. It's just there's got to be some kind of real breakthrough that's going to get the consumer animated.
They arguably missed the window to say, here's our Tesla. And that was when they were first embarking on this project around 2015. And that was one of the visions internally that they had was let's make a competitive product to Tesla, and let's dethrone Tesla before it really takes off in the same way we knocked off Nokia and the smartphone business. On the other side of the equation, you had some other people internally who were real champions of the idea of, well, if we're going to go that far, we need full autonomy. We need essentially a chauffeur that will drive us around.
Siri.
And yeah. And so there was even this moment where Tim Cook, that's in the book, where Tim Cook and Johnny Ive show up to sit down in an imagined car and pretend that they're riding around while they field questions from an actor that's standing there with a sheet that is supposed to be Siri, and they're saying, Siri, what is that outside the window? And Siri would say back to them, oh, it's this restaurant or that restaurant. And so that's kind of where they were going with all of this. And then when you think about it even further, you could layer in, well, we'll have iPads in the back, and you can watch your TV Plus show. So if you're a huge Slow Horses fan, you don't have to drive yourself to work. You can catch up on the latest episode. That's the futuristic vision of an Apple car.
I had a more sort of blue collar version of that when I used to work for Always Better Closets, which was we'd install closets, but I would always go to the back of the cube van and make a bed out of the furniture pads and sleep back there while the guys I worked with drove the van to wherever we were installing the closet. And I got to tell you, if you could sleep in your car on the way to work, that would be a goddamn game changer. I do not need to sleep on the way home.
Would you feel comfortable? Because I'll let my car drive me, even if it's just autopilot. It's scary sometimes, not feeling like you have the control.
Oh, you have the Tesla, right?
I got the Tesla, and sometimes it'll stop really quick or speed up really fast, and there's a different level, like you don't feel like you have control, and it's kind of freaky.
Well, I would imagine that would be kind of, we would weed that out. Maybe not with us, but our kids would probably
let them get behind the wheel.
They
risk their lives.
No, they're going to get in the back seat. Like I think this stuff that sounds crazy, like, you know, old grandma doesn't want to get in the airplane because it's just not natural to be at 30,000 feet going 500 miles an hour. I feel like future generations will be much more at ease with that. We're already at ease. We got on the Uber pretty fast.
Fuck yeah.
If you would have gotten hold of me, 15 years ago and went, how about some Armenian guy pulls up in his Toyota Tercel and takes you to the party? I'd be like, who is this guy? What? Yeah, no, it's his car. No, I don't want to get into his car. What the fuck I know? I don't know if he got the brakes checked. It took us about 10 minutes ago. I'll fucking hop into anybody who pulls into any car. If the door swings open, I'll just climb into it and sit in the back seat. We got over that shit pretty fast.
Adopted it pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing I'd want in an Apple car, and this sounds weird, I mean, maybe you guys, I'm from New York, you guys being in California, I want, it's maybe easier for men, but, if I got to pee in traffic, some sort of thing that I could urinate in my car.
Listen, Apple
Gatorade
ain't
bottles
going to
all
solve.
over
No, that's been solved by Snapple. It's got the wide mouth. It's a 16-ouncer. It's good going down.
It would be nice. LA traffic.
Yeah, I drink a lot of water, though. We need a bigger, Snapple's got to make bigger bottles.
Apple, I'm reading here, just recruited longtime Ford executive to help with the engineering with the goal of announcing in 2025, which, by the way, is close. Remember when 2025 sounded like,
right. Transformers will be living among us.
That's right. Tripp, let me give the book a plug here. After Steve, how Apple became a $1 trillion company and lost its soul. It's available now on Amazon or wherever you find finer books, and you can shoot Tripp a tweet at trippmickle.com. Oh, final thoughts. Any thoughts for anybody here about Elon Musk taking over Twitter, as I just read your handle?
Goodness. Well, it's going to become a lot more lively place, I'm sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for that hot take. We'll clean that up in post.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wasn't prepared to go Elon.
No, I know. That was a TMZ airport reporter that just escaped. Thanks, Tripp. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure. It's really nice to see you all.
All right. Let me tell you about bellywelly.com. Low FODMAP will be the next big diet thing in 2022. It's for anyone who's got gut symptoms, I should say, like a bloating or constipation or IBS, etc. And you try the first soft-baked low FODMAP brownies to start a gut-healthy breakfast routine. They've got probiotics to boost your gut health in a breakfast brownie instead of a pill. Flavors. They got cinnamon swirl. They got birthday cake. They got blueberry muffin, fudge brownie, lemon and white chocolate, 3 grams of fiber. It's gluten-free. It's vegan. It's certified low FODMAP. And I'll tell you where you can get it. Bellywelly, that's 2 I's in there, .com. Where you go. Use the code Adam25 to unlock the 25% discount. That is BELLIWELLI.com. Use the code Adam25 and get the 25% off discount. All right. Sam Morril is going to join us. Comedian Sam Morril. And we'll talk to him right after this. There we go. Good to see you, Sam.
Thanks for having me, man.
Sam's going to be at the Beacon Theater in NYC this Saturday, May 7th. And also there's a documentary out called Full Capacity.
Yes.
That is streaming on YouTube right now. And I want to know, on his YouTube channel, I should say, it looks at the reopening of a lot of these workout rooms, comedic workout rooms, after COVID. So let's get into that. I was a Catholic Big Brother, by the way.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. I can't believe I got a pedophilia joke on a late night set either. That was pretty crazy.
Oh, that was what show
that
was
was
that?
Conan.
Wow.
That's like
Good on you.
I know. They were so chill.
I don't want to ruin the illusion for everyone, but did you try to be a Catholic Big Brother?
It wasn't. I mean, I'm a Jew, but it was just Big Brother.
Jewish Big Sister.
I tried, and they were like, no. I really did make a joke like that, and they were like, "What do you get out?"
Do they need? Is your young ward Jewish? If you're a Jewish Big Brother,
My younger brother, would he be? No.
no. With the kid you get assigned to you, would he be a Jew?
I don't think. I think it was just the Big Brothers. I think I would have taken a Mexican. Whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
I'll Big Brother any kid. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of stray young Jewish kids around, I guess is what I'm saying. And when I do, I cross the street.
I give them a little can of tuna. That's what I do.
So, yeah, I went through that whole interview process, and I remember that the couple that questioned, that's me and my Catholic little brother, Nate, when I was like 29.
Look at that.
And they said, how often do you think about sex? And I was like, well, we got to count now, right?
Yeah,
Because you brought it up. But
yeah.
I didn't exactly know what that meant because it's really hard. Like every time you pass a billboard with a hot chick on it, like is that?
Does that count? What are the parameters of this?
I just figured that was code for how often you beat off.
Yeah.
So I just said 3 times a day.
Those are great numbers.
I didn't. And then they said, do you do drugs? And I was thinking to myself, like, sometimes. But then I thought, that's probably not what they want to hear. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. Like, they need me. You know, I mean, this is not a job interview. I'm not getting paid. So I said, I don't do drugs, but if I'm at a party and there's a joint going around, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think they liked my honesty.
Huh.
So they signed me up.
I told them I do a ton of coke and heroin, and they were like, not interested.
Not
but
interested.
I don't think they appreciated my honesty.
Yeah, your candor in that point wasn't.
It was a
wasn't
bummer.
embraced.
Yeah, but
So let's talk about the doc.
yeah, sure.
So how did you go about this? Like, what inspired it?
It's like you realize that stand-up is a mental illness, and during the pandemic, like what I first started was I did a rooftop special because no clubs were open in New York, so I was like, I would go out to do stand-up, but there were literally shows where like it's on the D train, it's the last car. I'm like, it's a hostage. So they're taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Right, it's in a
but
parking
worse.
lot. Right.
Yeah, so it's like you're doing gigs they're just hell gigs. Like these are gigs we would have never done. But I'm getting calls from my agent like it's a parking lot. It's
no, they don't. Well, you can't hear them laugh, but when they honk their horn and flash the brights, that means they approve.
It's horrible. Yeah, so I was like, I don't want to do that. So I started going out doing shows like on the East River, just weird. There's literally you have a homeless guy jacking off like 3 feet from you. I think he was a Big Brother too. And yeah, it was terrible. And every gig sucked. One gig, a guy just walked up and pissed as I'm doing jokes like 3 feet from me. I'm like, this probably wasn't worth leaving the house for this 10 minutes. So I realized to build a new act, I needed to be doing an hour. So I just started going on Instagram. If you got a rooftop, I'll do stand up on your roof. Just get a mic and amp and some booze. Yeah, so this is what we did. Roofs. We just kept going. Different night every night. I was at a roof, and it was awesome. I never want to do it again, but at the time you're like, this is fucking incredible.
Right.
So
you're like the Beatles.
That's right.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly like the Beatles. I mean, there were some nights that were, just grueling. I mean, something would go wrong every night. That was a problem. Like they'd be like, "Oh, we don't have outlets." I'm like, "Cool, you guys know we need a mic, right? I can't just a cappella this shit." So that was rough. And then we had a drone camera, which, by the way, like a lot of no-fly zones in New York, so we couldn't have a drone because we wanted these cool city shots when we were doing it. And then Yeah, it turned into like really the best thing, just a bunch of people getting drunk on roofs and laughing. It was amazing. But then, once I put this out as a special, it was called Up on the Roof. People were like, come to my roof. I'm like, no, that's fucking done. I'm never doing this again. This is over. So then Full Capacity was the club's reopening. That was like, I wanted to document it because it's like, I'm going to look back at this in like 15 years and be like, this was the craziest shit we lived through.
Well, New York was probably shut down as much as a city can be shut down, save a couple places in China and maybe Los Angeles, but that was totally shut down.
Yeah.
And the clubs were all had the strikes. You couldn't really move it out to the sidewalk. You couldn't do all the things they didn't want is what was in a club, was windowless. It was a bunch of people clustered together, was the laugh. They wouldn't let you go to church because you'd sing in church and you were too close to parishioner that was next to you. The club is all the stuff they don't want. And then it's New York.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the last venue to open.
It was tough. It was really, we were going crazy.
Did you go out? Like, I just went out. I'd just go to Houston or Florida or whatever, just whoever, Nashville, just whoever would accept you.
Yeah.
Sometimes at half capacity. Did you just hit the road and go to the cities that were open?
Not at first, but yeah, at a certain point, I was like, I need it. Yeah, once I could really start touring, I went every week, and yeah, it's you're like, wow, a lot of dates in Florida this year.
Yes,
we're going. Of course, I got it in Orlando, and I'm lucky that's all I got in Orlando. But holy shit, Florida, West Palm, Orlando, Miami, and you're like, yeah, this is we got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, I think Texas was the first place.
Yeah,
I went. So how long were the New York clubs closed down?
I think they reopened for real in April of last year, and it was heavy. It's like all these people you haven't seen in so long. There's so many casual comics. So you're like, I'm not super close to this guy, but I care about this person. It's nice to see them. So it was emotional to see all these people again, for sure.
So did you go out with a crew and document it, or did you document it yourself?
Yeah, no, I had a guy, Matt Salacuse. He directed Up on the Roof, and he followed me for The Cellar, which you feel like such a jerk off showing up to the club with cameras. Literally, we haven't worked forever. I have some comics being like, get that fucking camera away from me. I was like, sorry,
I know you're one of the first successful guys to put your special up on YouTube, and I'm glad to see this sort of ladies doing it for themselves instead of everyone sort of begging to get Netflix to air their shit, or HBO or whatever, that people are just going to these other platforms.
I don't think anyone even watches stand-up on HBO anymore. I think that's like a 90s thing at this point.
Yes.
You HBO now, you're just like, what? I remember I went in for a meeting there, and the woman was like, my son's a big fan of yours. I was like, well, maybe he should run the network.
So tons of views, tons of success on your YouTube channel. Is that kind of the new world order for you? Or
Yeah,
if
it's
Netflix
amazing.
comes calling, you'll go to them?
I'll never rule anything out. Netflix is a new audience. I think it's all great. I'm weirdly grateful. I remember when HBO passed on my special, I was so upset, and I was just like, oh man, maybe I'm crazy, And then I put it on YouTube, and I got this special I pitched is like 10 million views on YouTube. So it never would have gotten that on HBO. So you never know which way shit is moving, really. You think one thing is horrible, and then the landscape's constantly changing, right?
Why do you think HBO passed?
I don't know. I think they just have a more, artsy type of feel of the special, and I'm kind of like more of a road guy. I think they kind of want something that's a little more of like a one-man show for the most part, and that's just not the style of comedy I do. I'm kind of like a joke.
You doing 28 minutes on pedophilia is not something
Hey, you left out the 8 minutes on trans and 4 minutes on abortion. So
I wouldn't say it's not bad saying, but I met with a network not too long ago, and they they asked for my thoughts on comedians who I thought would be worthy of specials, and I named a few people, and their main concern was, well, would they be able to get on Live with Kelly and promote it? And I'm sorry, like one of the funniest comedians out there besides Sam is Tim Dillon. And Tim Dillon, unfortunately, is not going to be able to get on Live with Kelly, or he's not going to be on Fallon being able to promote a special. So they look for that.
So meaning Fallon wouldn't be interested in booking him, or that he's not going to work well in that environment?
I think it's more of Tim Dillon is not a Fallon type of comedian. You know, it's not going to be their content doesn't do
right.
well
I mean,
on that show.
is it sort of a right-left kind of political?
No, I don't
thing?
think at all. I think it's a comedian's like I don't think it should be political. I think it should be the comedians are kind of just shit stirrers, and they kind of and if you're going on a show like Live with Kelly, you're kind of playing the game a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's a different type of thing.
I agree. It shouldn't be political at all, but I think it's kind of become sort of political, and I think that's part of the problem. At least I know Tim Dillon. I know his style. I feel like they're basing it a lot on sort of content versus just is this funny or isn't it funny, Brian?
You're seeing the same thing in the publishing industry. Like first-time authors are having a hard time getting book deals or whatever because they don't have a platform. That's like the biggest thing. They don't care what the book's. I mean, they do, but they don't really care what the book's about. They don't care how long it is. They don't care about. They want your platform. How are you going to promote this book?
How many Twitter followers? How many Instagram followers? That's a big thing right now. It's like you don't get jobs because your social count isn't as high as someone else's, and then it's like, oh, you're out.
Well, I'm actually saying both things. Like I'm saying, like it is based on your followers, but it's also I'm writing a book called Fuck Transgenders. Now I'm going to go down to New York and go to a big publishing house. And
you should focus group that title.
It's not. They're not going to publish that book.
But you know what? Like Sam, you're special. How much did it cost to make? When you did yourself?
It wasn't expensive. It's not. I mean, to shoot a special, through friends and they have the equipment. It wasn't that expensive.
And
I'm going to shoot my next special on my own too. I mean, if I sell it, I sell it. But I'd be happy not to. So I think it's also great to grow your just personal page. You have direct access to the people who want to see you, and you don't need to be dependent on networks. I always hated the idea of being like, I'm submitting. It's like, well, who the fuck are you?
Right.
You're not comics know who are who's funny, but these people are just some of them have good taste and others are just like trying to save their job.
Yeah, there is a kind of conceit that I think most people have, which is if you run the comedy division at HBO or Netflix, then you must have been the funniest person in your high school. Right. Au contraire. Those are some of the least funny people, and then they have to sort of vet you're funny, and it's hard to do something if you don't speak that language. Like, how do you know this is better? And then you start getting into this realm like we talked about before, which is, well, I don't really know which is funnier, but I do know what's more diverse or who has more followers or whatever.
You can quantify that.
We can quantify that.
Sure, and it is actually good. Like you could get bitter, or you can kind of do your own thing. I mean, look at a guy like Shane Gillis who gets fired from SNL, and then it's like, would he be this popular right now on the road? If he was on SNL, maybe he wouldn't be used as much. So there is a kind of beauty to taking it back and doing your own thing. And Shane's sketches were hilarious on YouTube. So.
I would argue you can be bitter and do your own thing. I've been doing that for 13 years. For bitter, independently bitter, autonomously bitter.
No, it's true. I mean, look, whatever fuels you, if you use it right, man. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when do you write well as a comic? It's like when you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, I think. So yeah, for sure.
Adam, you do stand up, right?
Yeah.
Where do you do stand-up mainly?
Based in the city. Sam and I kind of started off together. Sam's doing some big things. He's doing the Beacon. I'm still running around. I'm just doing about 5 shows a week, just around the New York comedy circuit.
Is it bustling now? Is everyone back? Is it hotter than it was before?
It's definitely. I would be interested in Sam's take on this. I think the crowds have been great. Especially during the weekdays, like shows that you don't think would be as full. Like they're packed. But there's some comedians who are still nervous to come out, which is surprising. And these are big people. I'm like, man, like
Patton Oswalt. Who else?
Oh, really? Is he?
Some people. Well, I go. Okay, let's try to break this down to different stratas. There are people that were worried about COVID, like legitimately worried about their health in COVID. And then there were people that were somewhat concerned about their health in COVID, but mostly concerned about how concerned they thought other people were about COVID. And then there was me who didn't give a fuck because I'm not a pussy and I'm going to live my fucking life. And so you never know if someone is legitimately scared of this thing or likes the sort of pretense of it and wants people to think they're taking something very seriously. So I don't know who really believes it. You know, the guys that Occupy Wall Street, a lot of them were legitimately down with the cause, and then there were guys trying to get their dick sucked because they thought this would be a good move for them and their man bun. And I think we never really know in that drum circle who was really there for the cause and who was just trying to get blown by some chick because they were trying to convince them they were down with the cause.
I'm scared of COVID because I'm trying to get blown.
That's the Reese's peanut butter cup.
And I'm working on the man bun. I have a Jufro, so I don't think it's gonna work. But no, man. Have you ever heard that? I get a lot of that. I look like I'm related to you. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, related to myself?
Yeah, I would get like, is Adam Carolla your dad? I get a lot of that. Have you ever gotten that?
I guess I could say grandpa, which probably
no.
No, but I should. I can. Well, if you look at a picture of me with my Catholic little brother when I was 29, I think there's.
I could see a little bit.
I think there's something there.
Yeah,
and also there's a kind of a nasally drone.
Sure.
And there's an abrasiveness that rubs society the wrong way.
I mean, I'm flat. I definitely don't look that good, so I'll take that. Sometimes they'd throw in Adam Carolla with Down syndrome. I'm like, just say Adam Carolla. How about that?
Well, live it's come full circle because Jimmy always called me Pete Sampras with Down syndrome.
Oh, there we go. I feel like this just keeps knocking down one level.
Worse, yeah.
So I bequeathed my Down syndrome title. It's a fresh, young Down syndrome
like it follows.
adjacent comedian.
You're shredded, dude.
Oh, that's me when I used to teach boxing. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's 1 week ago.
Yeah.
Looking good, man.
Yeah, well, you know, when all you do is construction, teach boxing, and you're poor and you can't eat, it keeps the pounds off. But the second you transition from boxing trainer into morning show radio sidekick, you add a couple of lbs. You know, it's just a more sedentary gig than there's. I didn't get paid much when I was a boxing coach, but you essentially got paid to work out. Like you just show up and, you know, walk everyone through everything. And then when the class was done, you were just there.
Free gym membership.
Yeah.
Like you never had an excuse. Like, you know, now you get up, you go, I should work out. And then you go, oh man, my schedule's like really fun. But if you're at the gym and you're in your trunks and you're already sweaty, what is your excuse?
Those are some impressive abs, dude.
Yeah, you look great.
I was poor. I really couldn't afford to
Poor
eat.
abs.
Poor
The best abs.
You're shredded.
Yeah, well, it's a great. All right, let's stop seeing pictures. It hurts me, but I do look like Sam. Or no, Sam looks like me because you're younger. And I'm glad that you get the me with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So you have Down syndrome. Okay. So in the Pete Sampras case, I have Down syndrome.
That's what I'm saying. This is like a totem pole. I'm at the bottom, I feel like. This is very...
We should go talk to Pete Sampras because maybe Pete Sampras is like, my friends always called me Elliot Gould with Down syndrome. You know, like maybe there's a whole hierarchy, and then we could talk to Elliot. Yeah. Oh, you have Elliot. You guys want to talk to? Elliot Gould was one of the most scintillating interviews I've ever done.
Oh, was he good?
In a podcast. Well, let's see.
Correct.
These are his answers.
Ask him some questions.
Elliot, what was it like working on the movie MASH?
I don't care.
All right, but certainly, I mean, you went to the Oscars in 1979. That must have been quite a day.
Don't you know anything about it?
That's all he just said.
Damn.
The entire time. Yeah.
I loved Elliot Gould, man.
Not anymore.
No, you're anti-Gould now?
Well,
fine, thank you.
I can't remember, Brian. Was it just seemed like a goof or?
We theorized after the fact that sometimes guys who aren't comfortable doing interviews kind of pick a path, you know what I mean, to get an angle, and his angle was to be a little detached or ironic or whatever, and well, there you have this.
Yeah, he was like, you'd go like, so you dated Barbara Streisand in the 70s? And he'd go, yeah, what's your question? And it was just like, it was just weird.
You're like, tell me more.
But it turned into its own kind of bizarre experience.
Always.
Well, there he is.
Damn.
So
No, I don't think it is.
Is there some young, fresh comedian under you who could then look like you with Down syndrome, so we could
Jeez.
pass that off?
We need to find him on Twitter, guys. Who is the uglier version of me? Do your research.
And this guy's got to be in his 20s, right?
Yeah.
So back to New York to do the
Beacon. Yeah,
Beacon?
I'm taping the Letterman thing on Friday for Netflix, which should be fun. It'll be exciting as hell to
What's
meet.
the Letterman thing?
You do 5 minutes of stand up, and then you sit on the couch and just shoot the shit with him in a theater. Should be awesome, you know.
Is that the what's his special called on Netflix?
I forget.
The
My
Letterman?
Next Guest.
My Next Guest.
No, it's a new version with it's me and 5 other comics.
Oh, interesting. So what's it called?
I don't know. That I'm not organized. They sent me a thing like, we asked for a transcript of your jokes on Monday, and I'm like, who do you think you picked to do? You think this is what comics do? We sit and transcribe jokes. We're fucking worthless.
Don't you know anything about it?
Elliot. So
I could have been a little more curt with her if I wanted to go the Gould path, but
so the format is
Yeah.
you and 4 other comedians will do.
I think 5, yeah.
And you go out and do 5 minutes.
5 minutes, late night set style jokes, and then I'll just tell some stories, I guess. I don't know.
And then he'll call you over to the sofa. And
Yeah.
you'll sit down for how long, do you think?
5 to 10 probably, and we do 2 shows, so hopefully we can get something decent in 2 shows.
And it'll be on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's kind of nice to be chosen to do that,
Sam
right?
did Letterman, didn't you?
I've never did it.
Or you did Colbert, or which one did you
I've
do?
done Colbert, Conan, Corden, and maybe that's it. Oh, Fallon once.
You
I did
might be
Fallon
one of
once.
Colbert's first comics.
A lot of sex. Yeah, but I've never. I always wanted to do Letterman. I was always a big
I remember
fan.
being at Colbert the day you did it. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
No.
But you were like one of the first comics to actually.
I was the first non-famous comic to do that show. It was like, I think it was like Seinfeld, Maria Bamford, and then me, and it was fun. It was, but that's when he was still there. He doesn't stay for the sets anymore, which I think is kind of strange.
Who doesn't?
Colbert.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't.
He does like 5 comics at one. Like he just introduces them, and then they just do like 5 comics.
Well, he's not there.
He's not there. Yeah, no.
They cut it in like in post.
So they like gang tape
yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Remind me of Gilbert Gottfried.
I would hate to get gang taped.
I've never did the Tonight Show with Carson, but I did do Letterman a couple times, but not as a stand-up, just as a panel or whatever.
How was it?
It was surreal because I used to, when I was 18 or 19, just watch him, in my garage in my dad's house in North Hollywood, just, one day, New York City, I mean, it was, I grew up, about as humble as you can grow up, and I was
Who
always
gives a shit?
Letterman fan. Let me finish my fucking story, Elliot.
Shush.
But so it became sort of surreal when I, and I was doing construction and a boxing coach and stuff, 3.5 years earlier. It hadn't been that long, and all of a sudden I'm doing Letterman. And then to really confound things is like I was going up, and then James Brown was coming on after me.
Oh my God.
And I was like, why is James Brown after me? And they're like, because that's the way they format it. And I was
Wow.
like, James Brown, it's the Godfather of Soul. Like, he can't
dude.
come on after me. And it was like, that's how we're doing it. And it was pretty surreal.
Did Letterman come to your dressing room before the show or after to say hi, or?
No, he did not before or after. And I was even there with Daniel Kellison, who I did the Man Show with, who worked for Letterman for a decade and was, at least as Daniel describes it, sort of star segment producer. He would produce all those segments when the guy'd ride out on a horse and all that. That was all Daniel's stuff. And evidently left on great terms, and him and Letterman were good friends, and he was scared shitless to go up to Dave's dressing room after the show. And I thought, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign for Letterman, because he was sitting in my dressing room and he wanted to know whether he should go up, like it would be okay to go up and say hi. And the person who was like the segment producer was like,
No, I don't think it is.
yeah, I don't know. Like maybe not. And he was like, fuck it, let's go eat. So he was scared shitless of Letterman.
Did you meet James Brown?
I must have met James Brown. I mean, I was on stage when he was on stage. I probably during the commercials went over and shook his super sweaty palm. I mean, he's the hardest working man in show business.
Legend, dude.
Working a sweat. But yeah, it was definitely surreal. But
Yeah.
glad I did it before he retires.
Yeah.
So I can tell my kids and they won't give a shit.
Want to talk some more?
Was that Elliot?
Oh, yeah, thoughts.
You want to talk some more?
No, I'll talk to
I feel like Conan was Conan
Yeah.
was like our guy for my generation. We all love Conan, because he kept it so funny. So many late night hosts now, they kind of have like a message, and I just love how escapist Conan's monologues stayed. They were just like pure jokes. They were just silly, I loved it.
So the show, it's called That's My Time with
okay.
David Letterman.
There we
and it's
go.
going to be at the Fonda Theater
How was that?
this Friday, I guess you're taking
Yeah.
it. But the Fonda, not the Henry Fonda out here. There's a New York one, or are you doing it out here?
No, they're fucking killing me on these flights.
You're going back?
Yeah, 6 a.m. I'm popping a muscle relaxer on that second taping.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And wash it down with something,
Yeah,
too.
a cocktail.
All right.
Molotov.
You want to hang out? We'll just sort of gangbang the news here.
Please.
Please. All right. Let me take a second first and hit sponsor. LifeLock. All an identity thief needs for a shopping scam is your name, mailing address, email, and phone number. With that, they can start an online store account with their own shipping information. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives. Every day, we put our info at risk on the internet. In an instant, cyber criminals could harm your finances and your credit. Good thing there is LifeLock. LifeLock helps detect a wide range of identity threats, like your social security number for sale on the dark web. If they detect your information has potentially been compromised, they will send you an alert. You'll have access to a dedicated restoration specialist if you become a victim. So get LifeLock and protect yourself, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can keep what's yours with LifeLock by Norton. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year with promo code ADAM. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com. Use promo code ADAM for 25% off.
All right, Adam and Dax are going to gangbang the news.
Yeah, we are.
Sam and Brian will be hanging out. We'll do that right after this.
And now, the news with Adam Glyn and Dax Holt.
Ooh, it sounded so fancy. All right, Met Gala was last night. I don't know if you guys are into this. Super, stars showing up wearing ridiculous outfits. Not really my thing. However,
next story.
Next. Kim Kardashian showed up and she was wearing Marilyn Monroe's dress from JFK's 1962 birthday. The
Really?
one that Marilyn sang "Happy Birthday,
exact-
Mr. President."
was it the
Yes.
exact same dress?
The exact same dress. They went. Apparently, this dress has been housed at Ripley's Believe It or Not down in Orlando.
Wow.
Kim and Pete went down there, picked up the dress. They did a whole fitting. It's like a $4 million dress. She had to lose like 16 pounds to get into this. They've got the whole thing documented. Couldn't get over her butt. That was the whole thing. But here's the thing. So
we can't get over a butt either. It's awesome.
So
I showed up in Monica Lewinsky's dress once. It was a very different reception. It was what I would call it cold.
So she gets the dress, but what a lot of people didn't know is she gets to the red carpet and they have a makeshift dressing room for her. She puts the dress on, walks the red carpet, gets all the photos taken, and then they have a dressing room up at the end for her to take it off. And she puts on a replica dress because they didn't want that dress being on her for the whole night because it's such a big deal. So she was only in it for the moment that she did the red carpet.
Yeah, historical artifact.
It is kind of cool. I don't get very impressed with all this fashion stuff. This is kind of a cool moment. I can't believe she got her hands on it.
It's interesting. There's a whole. I just watched half a doc on Marilyn Monroe on I think Netflix, which is
the
out there
lost tapes or something.
running.
that's
Yeah, the
all
lost
that.
tapes of
It's
Marilyn
new.
Monroe. Now they're all doing that thing now where they're going. She was a great actress. It's like,
Come on.
all right. I get it. You like her and she's dead, but that doesn't. I like my grandfather and he's dead. That doesn't make him a great actor. You know what I mean? Everyone goes from this. So you didn't think, and then at some point they turn into great actors or great comedians or great. Well, we've seen their.
You can praise someone, praise them for something worthy.
That's right.
You know what I mean? She was iconic. She was glamorous. She
can make a fucking Denver omelet like nobody's business. You know, something a little more practical. You can't. Don't do the acting part. We've seen that. Do the one we can't prove.
She was great at doing drugs in a hotel room.
That's right.
She was awesome.
I
at
would
it.
argue she wasn't so good.
Nah, that's true.
By the way, the dress hasn't been washed since Marilyn wore it. There's
Wow.
Still dirt on there's still dirt on the bottom of it. If you look closely in photos, it's
Really?
all dirty around the bottom. They never washed it. So now it's got Kim and Marilyn sweat in there.
Nice. Well, one day when we go full Jurassic Horror Park, we get a little DNA off the dress and we create
From a drop of jizz. From a
yeah.
drop of Pete Davidson's jizz.
Well, I don't want to get his DNA mixed up. That's where it goes. That's where it goes. Turns into.
She looks great, but her cock is huge.
It turns into the fly at that point,
Yeah.
Brian. What I'm saying is
Yeah.
we get the DNA from Kim and Marilyn Monroe and a little Amber Heard.
Yeah.
No. And we put it and we create the ultimate whore for the future. So my kids have something to fuck. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about them. It'll be done. Oh, we could do it with dinosaurs. Why can't we do it?
Horror Park.
Jurassic Horror Park. I'd buy that ticket. I'm not staying in the Jeep. I can tell you that right now.
Pete is hanging tough on a Kardashian too. It's pretty impressive. It's usually a quick. I remember when it first happened. I was talking to friends who were like, "He's a rebound." I was like, first off, I bet he's okay with that. I can't imagine him rolling off her and being like, "This is bullshit."
Mm-hmm.
But second off, he's lasted. This is usually a you're in and out type of situation.
I think this is serious. I think I was watching TMZ last night, and he has like a little tattoo
Of her kids.
Yeah.
of her kids.
Of her kids.
But
with
is that
Kanye.
just trolling Kanye at this point? Is he just trying to piss off Kanye? Like, you get the kids' names tattooed on you?
Kanye's been quiet lately.
Yeah, because a lot of people are telling him to shut up at these days.
He's smart. Yeah, I get it.
He has their names
He's
or
got
their initials.
It's like Compass or something.
Yeah, like exactly. He's got like the letters of their name on his tattooed on him now, which is a bold move for a girl you've been dating for a few months.
But also, he gets. He gets a good Uber driver. He's going to put his fucking name on his ass. I mean, it doesn't take much to get him to do a tattoo.
But
you know what I mean?
Last night, she wears this iconic dress. He's just wearing like your average tuxedo. He was wearing like a tuxedo you
Well, you
get.
can't show her up.
Yeah,
Right?
but like you put him in. What do you put him in? Like a JFK tux or something like that.
That's
Like
too much.
that's do something for him.
Put on a Joe DiMaggio jersey, then maybe you have the sudden urge to smack her.
No, I think they're heading toward marriage. I have heard her interviewed. She's like, I don't date. I date with a purpose, And I think
You
this
guys
is
see him
heading.
getting married to Kim?
I think he would do it in 2 seconds.
Well, what does a prenup look like with someone who's worth, $1 trillion? Like you're gonna get out of there with the measly 278 million or something like that. I mean, is a prenup when someone is a serious heavy hitter doesn't mean okay, you'll keep the Camry and the apartment in Van Nuys. Like a prenup, this kind of prenup is he's getting millions if shit doesn't
Plus,
work.
she's
right?
about to be a lawyer. It's going to be rolling in after that.
That's right.
How
Draw
about
big
also
settlements.
they had like Britney Spears, her husband he apparently didn't you see that thing? He was not happy with his prenup, which is like it does feel weird to hear from a man.
Yeah.
It does feel a little
It
strange.
also feels weird when she's worth, $50 million. You're like, you're lucky that you're with her. Just sign the paperwork.
And it's not 50 million. That's the. Yeah, I don't know how prenups. I don't think you can do I don't think people agree to a zero prenup. I think there's
it's an agreement.
stratas, and I think
There's
he'd be
year
rich,
marks
but-
and stuff. You get more if you get to the 5 year to the 10 year.
You have investments.
I like the guys who work blowjobs into the equation. Those guys. I got my birthday.
She clearly violated the terms of our prenup.
There's all the days of Hanukkah. I want them all worked in. Yeah.
right.
So I think they're getting married. That's what I would say.
I don't know.
You
I
don't
think
so?
they're having a good time. I don't know if this is going to be marriage.
Well, he's getting kids tattooed on his neck.
I think he's trolling Kanye is what I think he's doing. More than anything. I think he likes to just poke the bear a little bit.
You can get a tattoo removed much more easily than get out of a marriage to Kim Kardashian, though.
Yeah,
You know?
okay.
I mean, this is, I don't know.
You think he's trolling Kanye?
Yes.
Yeah.
He loves this.
He's a comedian.
Yeah, he's
Pete's
having
a
fun.
comedian who's like, this guy is the worst.
But
I'm going to
does
have
it-
my fun.
Doesn't it seem like Kanye could have like an episode where he hires somebody to kill him or something? Like, would you want to dance around that? You know, it's like he's like a alligator that's sleeping on the.
He's the one with
shore.
Kim right now, so he's got the upper hand. He
Yeah.
sent Kanye photos of him in bed with Kim.
All right.
So
Well,
I
he's
think
doing
he's
it.
just like, I'm just going to keep pushing it. I'm the one in the winning spot right now.
I'd be horrible. I'd just be a lot of, let's leave him alone. No, I don't want the kids' tattoos. I don't want to know their name. I just want to use one of your many refrigerators.
The glass door.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into the walk-in cooler and actually just really think about my future here.
All right, you want me to move on to the next story here?
Yeah.
All right, for everyone who's thinking about staying at Disneyland Hotel, looks like Disneyland has agreed to pay $100,000 to a hotel guest. This is apparently back in 2008. This family stayed and got bed bugs. And according to her
they're
attorney,
back.
Yeah, it was.
It was
bitten.
08.
Say it
Sorry.
again.
It was 08.
It was?
He just said it was 08.
Oh, okay.
2018.
Oh, goddamn it. I'm
2018.
Sorry. Forgot what I
Back
said.
to the LA
Bedbugs
Cool drops.
climbed in. According to this woman, she said she was bitten numerous times by bedbugs, suffered physical and emotional damage, and then got paid $100,000. By the way, her lawyer works for My Bedbug Lawyer, Inc.
Oh, my. That's a real
That
specialty.
was the best part of the whole story
That's
right there.
Kim's new firm.
All of the so they were all over New York like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I never
right?
got, I don't know how I never got them, but they were, did you ever get them?
No, but a family member of mine did, and it was pretty crazy.
Everybody who's bitten by an insect while they're sleeping has long-term emotional distress because you
Yes.
do the math. You go, "What? I woke up with this thing," and then you go, "Oh, must have bit me while I was sleeping," and then you go, "Oh, it was fucking on me while I was asleep last night," and then you start to freak out.
Make me itch talking about it.
And then you got to do that weird move where you fluff the sheet next time you get into bed because you're like, what else is lurking?
But do you think this is a case of someone's trying to get money and Disney's just like, go away? I'm just going to pay
Well,
you
$100,000 is
$100,000,
nothing
just
for them.
Go
I mean,
away.
I do check beds, and I try to do that, and it's like the maids are doing a much worse job now because there's less money, and so you will put a light on your bed, and you're like, oh, thank God, pubes, not a fucking bed bug, you know?
Now, do you go CSI with the woods light, like the black light?
I don't
on
have
there?
the black light, but I do. I try to get a good look. I think you could see him.
bed
Maybe I'm
bugs.
wrong. I might be dumb. Maybe you can't see him at all.
I think you could see him.
I think.
Let's ask my bedbug lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't know how big bed bugs are. Are they
No, it's-
visible to the naked eye?
I
think they
think,
are.
I think
Yeah.
you
I think
could,
so.
but you'd have to be looking at. I like this lawyer because I picture not many lawyers drive a van. I picture this guy has a van. My
With
bed
his
bug
face on
lawyer
it, for
with a
sure.
giant bed bug on a spring, like on top. Like,
I'm picturing Lionel Hutz.
yes,
This is Saul Goodman with Down syndrome. We're going down to
that's right. To the lawyer.
All right, moving on. Amber Heard. People do not want her in the Aquaman sequel. So there are now over 3 million signatures among this whole Johnny Depp trial summary. But people are saying we do not want her in the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This petition started back in 2020. It's aimed at DC and Warner Brothers. And people are just saying, please, God, do not let her do this sequel.
The petition should be against the person that started the petition. Like somebody said, I'm thinking about starting a petition to get Amber Heard out of Aquaman sequel. Okay, I'll be taking your kids, by the way, when I leave. Because obviously you have no priorities. This has become a thing for you. Like, who starts these
Who has time
petitions?
to do this stuff?
Also, she's got lawyer fees. Let her work.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie was okay.
The
Wasn't
first
that
one.
great, yeah.
No, we don't need
It
a
was
sequel, do we?
No.
You don't
we
remember her from the movie. I was like, oh, she was in Aquaman? I didn't remember she was the girl.
She was his girlfriend in Aquaman.
Yeah.
Also, she's crazy. Yeah, she's an actress. Who do you think these people are?
Yeah.
They're fucking nuts.
Do you remember when she first came out, though? Like when she started to get a little bit of buzz, like they really put a lot of gas behind that she was bisexual. Like,
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
That was the big thing about her. Like, oh, she's bisexual. She's this hot bisexual chick, and that was like the big allure to her. Now you don't really hear much about that anymore at all.
But this Johnny Depp trial's been fascinating. All right.
Yeah, we don't put a lot of stock, or there's not a lot of stock in bisexual. I mean, it used to be kind of a weird fantasy thing for guys, or I shouldn't say weird, just a straight fantasy thing. But I think it's kind of gone now. Like the novelty's worn off, the bloom is off the rose. Like that was a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a half fantasy. Like she fucks a dude, it's not a fantasy. She fucks a woman, you're like, it's kind of cool, I guess. But
Bisexual is not that impressive. 2 sexes?
Yeah, I know. That's people.
That's all you got?
Yeah, I mean, people have 3 pronouns now. You're only fucking 2 different people. I got an extra pronoun on you. Like
I said we. You're like, all right, you are cheating on me.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting that it was all a thing. Like it was, that chick's been with another chick.
Who was she with, too, at the beginning? That,
It wasn't Elon.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the chick that she was with.
Oh,
like,
I don't
made it
know.
a whole story.
Was there a girl she did? Was it
Yes.
out the girl she was hooking up with?
but I don't
Not
remember.
Cara.
No, I can't remember, but she was with someone.
Cara Delevingne?
Guys, this is like your whole job, right?
I know.
Here. Come on,
They
step it up.
Years ago, though. This
It
is
started
like
to repeat itself.
literally.
Brian, ask me
9
a
years
question
ago.
about a car. And I'll tell you how this works.
The Apple car that you own. What year is that?
Oh, jeez, I don't know.
Well, you own it. I mean, you bought it. You probably did all the research on it.
I think it's either a Porsche or a Pinto.
It's on display in your warehouse. For God's sake, you've given it a number of tours.
I had a next question. Come on, this is all you fucking do.
You know what they should do with Aquaman 2? They should write her in as just a crazy person. They should just make the character so, like she shits in the sea, and they're like, why would you do this? Why would you do this to me?
Well, she shits in Aquaman's bed. Like she goes over to his kelp bed and takes a dump and then blames the dog. Blames the dogfish. They should loosely base it all
They
thing
should.
on the trial.
Jason Momoa just starts winning a lot of rings. You're like, what the hell's wrong
He
with this
picks up
guy?
a conch shell and throws it at her. He cuts his finger.
Now I'm going to watch Aquaman 2.
We get Neptune on a Zoom call to say how batshit crazy she is.
That's awesome. All right. One other thing from the Met Gala. Not a lot of, again, not so interested in the fashion. However, I don't know if you guys saw this, but New York Mayor Eric Adams, he walked out wearing a tuxedo with a big "End Gun Violence" on the back. It had basically scenes of New York.
It was
the
shot
Brooklyn
on the
Bridge,
subway after the show.
and then a gun with a big old, red line through it.
That's a bold take to be against violence.
Especially the mayor
Holy
of
shit.
a large city.
Well, he
Ex-cop.
He is just getting crucified on social media. People being like, number one, why are you at the Met Gala, which costs $35,000 a seat? And number two, shouldn't you be the one out there ending gun violence rather than just wearing it on the back of your
I don't know, dude. That jacket might help. I think
Yeah.
people might look at the jacket like, oh, we're not supposed to do that. That's helpful.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, well, last year was AOC,
AOC.
with the
Taxes.
tax the rich.
Yeah.
Thanks, bitch.
Yeah.
You've solved the deficit.
It
And
really
now
is
this
kind of annoying, though, right? When
It's
people
like when
wear
you
this
see a
kind of
guy in
stuff.
a shirt that says, I saw a guy in a shirt that said, fuck racism, and you're like, problem solved. Well done. Thanks for that one, dude.
Oh, that's my favorite genre of porn, by the way. Not so fast, hotshot. But yes, of course, what we don't like about it is it's the opposite of doing your job. Like doing your job is whatever legislation, whatever patrols, whatever stop and frisk, whatever you got to do, broken windows, whatever to fucking stop the gun violence in your city. And then this is grandstanding, and it's there's way too much of this. And all it does is remind us you're doing a shitty job at your job.
Oh, yeah.
And also, it's a weird trend now. Everyone has to show up with some sort of, free the dolphins kind of thing on their jacket or their gown. I don't need it.
I'm going to wear an against baby rape shirt if I ever go to the Met Gala, just so they know I'm against it.
I'll
to show I'm a hero.
I got one in the car.
It's like, why can't New York get a good mayor? It's impossible. We hated de Blasio. What's weird is Anthony Weiner would have been our best mayor.
Yes.
How fucked up is that? If he just didn't send out dick pics, he could have saved our city.
Would have been awesome.
It would have been great.
Where is he now? He's back?
Probably doing a podcast or something.
Yeah.
He's a CNN correspondent. I don't know what he's
His
doing.
girlfriend was there last night. I think his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Came to
Yeah.
the event with Mayor Adams. That was he was
really?
Like, they were like somewhat together at the event.
There's like two sides of Jobs, and we're talking about Steve Jobs, and we're talking about him taking $1 salary, because there's a part of the job where you do your job if you're a high profile person, and then there's like an optics side of your job. So when you're Governor Gavin Newsom and you're telling all the little people to mask up, don't go to the fucking French Laundry with 28 of your closest friends and drink 35 grand worth of fucking red wine, you hypocritical douche. That's the part of his job. I'm not telling everyone to wear a mask, so I could go there, but that's not part of my gig. There's
the self-righteousness is
yes,
gross.
There's an optics part where people are getting shot in your city every day. Don't do.
And you're walking a red carpet.
You're walking the red.
The most opulent. Possible.
Right. Don't even be there. Is my answer.
It's you're trying to connect. It's very hard because there's a lot of tension in New York right now, and even when the woman was pushed on the subway in Times Square, and his soundbite was, "It's just the perception of violence." I'm like, no, there's violence.
That's
I don't know if you're.
violence.
I don't know. That's actual. Yeah, someone's dead. So I ride the subway every night still, and it's like it's different. I don't have my AirPods in like I used to, and you gotta kind of just be guarded,
Yeah, it's scary, the footage that's coming out of there. I would be. Well, there was a mass shooting. 2 weeks ago on there.
Yeah, and that was like a real rah-rah moment when they got him, because we're like, NYPD, that's what we do. And then it turned out he called himself in, and we're like, that's a little less of a climax, I guess.
Yeah, he went to a McDonald's and dropped the dime on himself.
After Katz's Deli, he fucking did a Bam Bam.
Oh, really?
He did Katz's, then McDonald's. So he ate pretty well, and then he went to McDonald's.
Well, I guess he probably was going to do like a preemptive last meal.
Yeah.
Like, there's the last meal before you go to the chair, but there's also the last meal before you eat shit on a shingle for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? That's my last meal.
Katz is always so packed, too. How did nobody recognize him? His photo was everywhere. Katz is, if you go there at 11 in the morning, once it opens, I was there recently. The place is jammed. No one recognized the guy, just being a weirdo.
They gave a description. They didn't want to give his ethnicity out because they thought that was a hate crime. So they go, guy wearing an orange construction vest. But I presume he took that off at some point.
Smart move.
So
Someone at Katz's did recognize him. They took a picture and put it on the wall next to Chaz Palminteri. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Right. Did you get him to sign it?
No, that was shocking. And what's cool about New York is I remember taking the subway like 30 minutes later, and everyone's like, yeah, this is what we do.
It was funny,
travel.
the description with him is he was wearing like an orange construction helmet and an orange construction vest. And it was like, be on the lookout for the guy wearing the orange. But I'm saying, like, if I committed a heinous crime and I was wearing a traffic cone on my head when I did it, I would fucking jettison the traffic cone before I got out of the subway, right? And then you guys are all looking for a guy with a traffic cone, and I'm just walking amongst you. So I think that was his plan. I would argue that fucks people up more. Like, leave that part out of the fucking description. He's wearing an orange vest and an orange construction. Yes, because he is posing as a construction worker to go down and kill people. And now that he's left and you guys are saying, look out for the guy in the orange mesh vest, I'll bet you that's in a fucking trash can up by the steakhouse at the top of the thing.
That's how he got away. He just took it off and went right on the next train, and people were like, oh, it's just a guy.
We're told there's a heavyset guy with an orange helmet on, but you're not. I mean, you're heavyset.
Yeah. The orange helmet eliminates you.
You have a gun stuffed into your sweatpants, but we're looking for a guy with an orange hat. Yeah, more harm than good with that description.
Yeah.
Tattoos, fine.
Sure, the best.
Unibrow.
Yeah.
Overbite. Looks like a retarded Elliot Gould. Like that's helpful shit. But
Adam and I are just next to each other in a lineup like, this sucks.
Not again.
This really sucks.
But like wearing a fanny pack, not good, because you just pop that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, clothing.
I should give out those APBs. I would find the Down syndrome celebrity you looked most like, and then I would let the public go off on that.
Oh man! All right, got one last story for us. So Ulta Beauty, the big beauty brand, they are apologizing big time. They sent out a newsletter.
Oh, I saw this.
To customers.
Oh, this is uncomfortable.
Oh, really?
With a really poor headline.
First of all, it's poorly conceived to begin with, but go ahead.
So they're out there. They wanted to promote the brand's line of perfumes. So in the email they sent out Sunday, the headline was "Come hang with Kate Spade." And if you remember, Kate Spade died. She tragically killed herself with a suicide by hanging. And so with the headline of "Come hang with Kate Spade," it didn't go over well with all the people receiving that. So they are now apologizing for the very insensitive email, saying we didn't mean to.
Wow, that's an unfortunate selection of words.
Right? So uncomfortable.
Well,
How do you mess that up?
You know,
Why
they
would
did
they
they
do
did the
that?
same one for David Carradine, but it was CUM hang.
That's right.
How does that make it through the marketing department? No one throws up a red flag. Not one person.
Well, what if they said "chill with Kate Spade"? Would that work? Or
that was confusing to me too.
She's
Why?
dead.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why would you even say like you're not going to be with her? Obviously,
Yeah.
let's just fucking ashes.
Sam, you should know, and I mean it, that I feel like David Carradine, A Life, a very American tale, was snubbed. It was ruined in just a minute of him hanging in the closet with his dick out.
It's a bummer.
In the Philippines or wherever he was. And I've said many times, but I mean it, if I was the housekeeper that found him, I would have put him in a red, white, and blue gi, and I would have laid him on top of the bed. I'd have put nunchucks in his hands, and I would have went, that's how we found
That's
him.
a fucking man.
That's a man right there, all the way to the end.
Just wood
You know what I
chopped.
mean?
Yeah.
And even if it meant having to carry a red, white, and blue gi and nunchucks into every room I clean, just on the off chance.
She did that to Gilbert Godfrey too.
Or
It was
maybe
weird.
maybe it's not just David Carradine. Maybe I find Chuck Norris one day or somebody.
Your whole legacy down the drain with one rope in a closet. Good God.
He was awesome in Kill Bill too. That was a great.
Yeah, he was great. Except for like every once in a while they used to do that. They do this thing where like he played kung fu, which is with monumental cultural appropriation.
Oh my God!
Of the day with the accent and the eyes and the whole, like he did the whole thing.
I was about to say they could never do that now, and then I was like, oh wait, Cobra Kai. I think they
That's right.
can.
So he was that guy, but he'd always do that thing where they like interview him. He played a kung fu expert on TV, but like Howard Stern would interview him in the 90s, and he'd go, "Could you take Mike Tyson?" And he'd go, "It kind of depends." A street fight, yeah, I'd probably win. Traditional boxing, like, yeah, you played a kung fu guy with the stunt man, did all your shit. Everything was in slow motion. That was the big thing. And every episode started with him walking into just a tavern, and all he wanted was water. And at some point they'd go, "We don't like your kind here, Chinaman." That was the first guy to get his ass kicked every single time. And he'd always go, "I seek peace. I want no problems." And they go, "Well, you found problems, Chinaman." And then he'd beat the shit out of him. He never wanted trouble.
That's
yet,
trouble found
he
him.
ended up kicking the shit out of the town. Every town he went to.
Have you seen the new Reacher on Amazon?
No.
Oh no!
It's the
but I've
same
heard
shit.
about it.
It's pure. It's the same shit. But it's if you want to see just a bunch of dudes get the shit kicked out of them for no reason.
Yes,
it's awesome.
But they never want to.
No.
For guys just say they don't want trouble. Trouble finds them very easily.
This dude's 6'6", and for some reason every person's like, "You fucking pussy," and he's just like, "All right, I guess I gotta break your neck," but he doesn't even want to.
I felt the same way about Con Air.
Yeah.
When Nick Cage goes into the bar after leaving the Green Berets, and he's full military. He's decorated. He's a marksman. He's like a Green Beret or something. And he walks in and he meets his fiancée, and like the townies like come up to him like, "Hey, soldier boy." And it's like, "I don't want any trouble." Like, "You found trouble." It's like, the guy's a trained killer.
Yeah.
He's not wearing sweatpants and an orange construction helmet.
Yeah.
He is in full military with all the decorations that go along with it, and he's fit and he's 20 years younger than you. Why are you so lippy with him?
Oh, same with the new Batman. They just a bunch of dudes walk up to him like, "You fucking pussy, Batman." You're like, you guys don't know who Batman is?
I got an idea who Batman is. Batman will either kick your ass himself, or he's got something in his fanny pack that'll fucking do the job, right?
But he'll get rid of the fanny pack, so you won't be able to recognize him afterwards.
Yeah,
so.
you're right. Batman was just walking around, and a bunch of cholos got around. Like, you're such a pussy, Batman.
Yeah.
Like, you know nothing of his work. You've not seen any of the other episodes of
Also,
Batman?
even if you haven't heard of the guy, if a guy shows up dressed like that, you don't fuck with him.
Right. No, he's not dressed. Yeah, he's not dressed up like a clown. He's dressed up like the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
You're right. Those guys would probably give
Bad
him a
writing.
pass.
This is the plot of Kick-Ass.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
It is.
All right. Should we bring our news home? Or do
That
we
was
have
it.
an
That was
outro?
it. We're done with news.
Oh, well, we have an outro then.
I like long walks on the beach and chicks that don't poop in the bed.
Don't worry, Gina. Your job is safe. That was the news with Adam Glyn and Dax Holt.
Do you guys have thoughts about Amber Heard showing up in Aqua, dude?
Doing the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care about what she does in
Not
the movie.
distracted.
I'm too invested in this court case right now because it's just the craziest shit you have ever heard being laid out in front of millions of people.
Yeah, and why you would put yourself, and now it's all in the public record now. It's like it's no longer he said, she said.
No.
There's a stenographer there. And then you have to get all your therapists up there to tell you what they really think.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because when you're just paying them, they're like, oh, yeah, it's all the bitch's fault. And now they're talking about you, and you have a split personality.
Yeah, but can you imagine
and you're
the
dangerous.
worst shit you have ever done in your life as now being broadcast to everyone?
Yeah.
The time you shit in the bed and blamed it on a dog, everyone knows you shit in a bed.
It's like doing morning radio with Danny Bonaducci. The worst things he's ever done in his life. Couldn't wait to get to a microphone and tell everyone. You got a Ducci drop there,
I
Brian?
don't. Danny's not doing well. You see, he's got some health problems.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was literally just talking to Mike August about him 2 days ago.
Does anyone
and I was
hear about
what's
this?
I did
going
see a
on?
story
no, I
going
saw
around.
that.
I didn't read the story,
Yeah.
but
What
I
is,
did see it going around.
He's not being public. But amazingly enough, Danny is not talking about what's wrong.
Oh, that's how you know
That's
it's
how you know
real.
it's serious. Yeah.
Wow.
He's I put up a picture from Twitter. He looks very frail. With
Was
a cane.
he in, is he still in Seattle doing
for Arizona. He's
radio?
taking time off radio, and he looks. Danny was jacked as shit when we knew he did a radio show with Danny. He was very muscular, and he looked withered.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
no. That's sad.
What
He's
does
pretty
he
unrecognizable.
have, or do we
He
know
hasn't-
what he
As
has?
far as I know, he hasn't said.
Yeah, his sister says he's battling a mystery illness.
Is that a thing?
That just means they don't want to tell you what
Sounds
it
like
is.
a bad doctor.
Wow.
Guess what? It's a mystery illness.
All right. Well, we wish him well
Hope he
because
gets
I
well.
always liked the guy.
Yeah.
All right. Let me hit Geico last but not least. You like to save some money on your car insurance? Of course you would. Who doesn't love a deal? And when it comes to great rates on insurance for everything, Geico can help. Insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, RV, even homeowners and condos and renters insurance, all at Geico, and you can save with their special discount when you bundle. Plus, they got the easy-to-use Geico mobile app and 24/7 roadside assistance. So you switch to Geico. It's a no-brainer. Go to geico.com and get a quote today. All right, let's see. Whose paper am I missing here? Oh, that's right. Tripp Mickle, which could be triple.
Yeah, it could be short.
All right. I'm going to be in Indianapolis this weekend at Helium Comedy Club, and we'll be doing a couple shows, a couple of live podcasts, and a couple of live stand-up shows as well. Sam is going to be at the Beacon Theater coming up this Saturday, May 7th, and the documentary Full Capacity is going to be streaming on YouTube. Is it streaming yet, Sam, or now?
All my stuff is on my YouTube channel, so just go to youtube.com/Sam Morril.
And Hollywood Raw is the name of the podcast with Adam and Dax as well. And they got the Jobs book with Tripp Mickle. Until next time, it's time for Tripp and Sam and Adam and Dax and Brian saying mahalo.
And then, of course, you have the mom jeans, which are just high-waisted jeans. But I literally bought these jeans. I loved them. I put them on. And then I got home and I actually read the label. And they are actually labeled distressed mom jeans.
Oh.
Which I think is redundant. I mean, just say mom.
For distressed moms?
Yeah, exactly. They're actually torn a little bit, which I think represents how I feel on the inside.